Terrific Talk Podcast. Welcome back, Terrific Talk Podcast.
Here comes the host.
I'm your host, Tom Anderson.
First, behind the back, it gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win it.
Welcome to Terrific Talk. Beautiful day here from the Hoboken Studios in New Jersey. Thanks for checking the podcast out, whether you're listening on iTunes or straight off the CLNS Media app. I've got a great guest today. Mike Hill hosts a variety of shows for Fox Sports and Fox Sports 1. He does pre- and post-game work for the LA Clippers. He's got Unstabled podcast. Really pumped to have him on today. Let me bring him in here. Mike Hill, welcome to Terrific Talk.
Appreciate it, Tom. How you doing, man? Thanks for having me on.
I'm doing awesome. It's beautiful weather here, so I'm in a good mood.
Hey, that's good for New Jersey, then.
Exactly.
I live in LA. I'm used to it, but it's good to hear that you guys on the East Coast are sharing in the happiness, so to speak.
Finally. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about your career, and I know after high school you enlisted in the Air Force and you went on to study communications at the Air Force Academy. What drew you to the Air Force, and was broadcasting something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got into broadcasting early on when I was in the student newspaper. I actually wanted to start off as an actor, and I figured like being a broadcaster would be something a little bit more stable until I got into acting, which I'm actually just now starting to do out here in LA now. But when I was younger, I was about 14 or 15 years old, and there was a guy that was on this local station where I grew up in Alabama named Michael Hill. He just happened to have the same name as I was, and he was a reporter. And I saw him on air, and I looked at him, and he kind of looked like me, and I was like, he's got the same name. I'm like, well, I think I could do something like that. And funny thing about that, the irony in that is that later on, 3 or 4 years later, I met a girl named Tamara, and Tamara ended up being my first wife. Tamara is actually Michael Hill's niece.
Oh, my God.
When I first met her, but that was his niece. So that worked out, and, well, the marriage didn't work out, but it worked out as far as me getting me into broadcasting. And when I went into the Air Force, one of the reasons I got into the Air Force was, frankly, man, I enlisted because, I just really wasn't ready for college. I had the grades. I think I was a good student, but I wasn't disciplined enough to actually stick with it. So I figured because I had a couple of family members who went into the military, enlisted in the military, and they were doing well for themselves and saving money for college, I figured I could do the same route, and it actually worked out for me. So I'm very appreciative of that time, those 6 years that I spent in the military.
I've read, before, a lot of people know you from your time at ESPN and Fox, but you definitely put in your dues. You worked at a TV station in Maryland, California, Nashville, Tennessee, New York City, Dallas. You went all over the place every couple of years. What was that time in your life like, always being on the move?
Early on, it grew actually tiresome. I mean, because I moved a lot. And fortunately for me, I was moving up. So I only spent like 6 months in Maryland after getting my first job and then moving to Fresno. And I was in Fresno for a year and a half. So 2 years in, I moved again, and I was in Nashville. So 2 years into my career, I went from market 198, I believe, to Nashville at the time was like market 33.
Wow.
So I moved up 160-some markets in just 2 years. And then I spent 3 years, great years, and I still love Nashville to this day, in Nashville for 3 years. And then after that, 4 or 5 years into the business, I'm in market number one. I'm in New York, working back where I was born. I was born in New York and raised first couple of years of my life in the Bronx. I got a lot of family members there. So it was fast, it was furious, and it was coming quickly, and I was moving, I was on a rise. And then, there were some unfortunate things that happened, like 9/11 happened, and then the company I was working for ran out of money. So they canceled our show, so I'm out of work. Went to Dallas, which was still a top 10 market, and didn't have the best experience at that station working for a guy who, I thank him today, but at the time I was a little bit bitter towards him that actually fired me because of some of the things that we just had disagreements with. But it turned out to be one of the biggest blessings in my life because had that not happened, because I was moving so much, Tom, I was ready to just kind of chill and settle down.
Yeah.
I had a family, I had kids, and I was just like, I'm tired of moving, so I was going to make Dallas my home. But had he not fired me, I would not have been looking for a job, and I would have never looked and applied and auditioned at ESPN because ESPN wasn't really even on my radar. I know it was big at the time, and people wanted me to go to ESPN, said I should go to ESPN, but I never wanted to go there. I just heard a lot about, how much they overworked their people, and it was Bristol, Connecticut, and I had friends that were there, and I said I never wanted to go there. But because of what happened in Dallas, I needed a job. And fortunately for me, they thought enough of my talents to give me an opportunity, and I spent 9 to 10 years there, which turned out to be the biggest boost for my career.
Totally. You mentioned the Dallas adversity you kind of faced. You recently tweeted that there was once a time I'd get pissed when I got looked over for a show or opportunity at ESPN or Fox, but now you don't worry about things that are out of your control. How did you kind of get to that place where you're not as angry, you're not as bitter?
This is where my love for God and Christ, man, Jesus comes in, because I've always been a Christian, but I was never really what they call a practicing Christian. I heard what a minister would say, my pastor would say, my mom would say, or whatever, but I was like, I pray at night, but I never really truly believed it. It wasn't until actually recently, about 2 years ago, about 2 years ago actually, that I said, you know what, some things that happened in my life just aren't meant to be. Some of the things that happened in my life that are unfortunate, like the incident in Dallas, once again, which led to ESPN, the way I left ESPN, but obviously ending up here in L.A., and then all the things that are going on here in L.A., which are great. I'm still having the time of my life. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, personally and professionally, and things are booming for me. But had I not left ESPN, had things not slowed down a little bit here for me at Fox, and if I'd gotten some of the opportunities I wanted over at FS1, it would not have allowed me to transition into basically the life I'm trying to get into now. Remember, at the beginning of this podcast, I told you I wanted to get into acting, and I did broadcasting to get into acting. But now, since I have a little time on my hand, I'm not doing as many shows, and this is a slow season, it's allowed me to take classes. It's allowed me to go out on auditions. As a matter of fact, I just went out on an audition to try and start my acting career. So I think because we get so upset about some of the things that we don't have, we need to take the time to realize that some of the things that you don't have, it might be the best thing for you, because it gives you an opportunity somewhere else, because your path might not be the path that God wants to put you on. So if God has this for me and he's already predetermined what's going on, who am I to get upset about something I don't get, because I know there's a bigger and maybe a better opportunity coming along, or something that's reaching and helping me reach my purpose coming along in the future. And that's the way I live my life. And so when I don't get something, I'm just as happy as when I do get it. I
think it's really cool that you're getting into acting. It's clearly a passion of yours, something you've always wanted to do. Do you ever get annoyed, though, when people kind of see you as, the sports broadcaster? Because I get that sometimes. People just see me as like, oh, he's the sports guy. And I'm like, I have other interests. And do you feel like you get put in a box?
Oh, my God. That is the biggest pet peeve that I still have. And it's not just even in acting. It's like when I came out here in L.A., it was one of the things, because I was at ESPN, I've been at Fox, and I've been a sportscaster for 23 years of my career. I wanted to get into more hosting, more pop culture type of hosting roles and entertainment and things. So, my agent would set up these general meetings to go meet, some of these people at these other networks. And as soon as I get in the room, they'd be like, well, we don't have any roles for sports, because we don't do sports here. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I don't want to do sports. I'm here because I want to transition and cross over and do something entirely different. And I have to remind them, I have to say, look, Michael Strahan was a football player with the New York Giants, had a great career. Now he's transitioned. Now he's doing Good Morning America. You see guys like Kevin Frazier, who was at ESPN and made his name known for ESPN and Fox, and then transitioned into doing what he's doing now, Entertainment Tonight. Yeah. And I look at them and I'm like, these are the guys, the type of path that I would like to come down. So you have to put me in that box instead of putting me just in the sports box. That's why if you look at my Twitter page, I won't say I'm a sportscaster. I never say I'm a sportscaster. I will say I am a broadcaster, meaning that anything that I do when I'm on television is broad. That means I can do entertainment, I can do pop culture, I can do politics, I can do sports, I can do whatever my interests are. And if I'm not interested in it and you think you want to give me an opportunity and you feel strongly enough to give me an opportunity, I'll learn what I need to learn to make sure I do a damn good job for you. So that's why I consider myself a broadcaster and not a sportscaster.
You're a broadcaster. What's the best advice you can give young broadcasters out there?
Stick with it. It's tough. You're going to hear so many no's, And believe me, I've heard so many no's throughout my career just getting started. I heard 73 no's. I sent out 75 tapes. I got 73 no's, 73 rejection letters. I got 2 callbacks. One was telling me basically how bad my tape was. And then one was the opportunity that, in Hagerstown, Maryland, market 198, they gave me an audition. And the day I got out of the military was the day I got that first job in broadcasting. So you can hear so many no's, but all it takes is that one right yes to set your life on a different course, different path, and to catapult your career to new heights. It's going to be tough. It's going to be excruciating. It's going to be aggravating. You're going to get tempted to quit and leave. But if it's in your heart, if you're true to it, and you feel like this is your passion, and you know that God put you on this earth to do this, which we don't know yet, but you feel like that's in your heart, it's running through your veins, then stick with it. And don't allow anybody to steal your joy or tell you what you can't do. Know your worth. When you know your worth and you know what you can do, you can accomplish anything on this earth. That's what I live by, and that's the advice I give to my kids, and that's the advice I would give to anybody that is trying to get into this business or any business out there.
Love it. Real quick, you mentioned an agent. I don't know anything really about the agent side of things. When you get an agent, what are you exactly looking for from them?
I just want somebody to be honest with me. I mean, when I first got into it, it was just cool to have an agent. Oh, you got an agent or whatever. But no, it's not just cool to have an agent. You want somebody that is looking out for your best interests and not necessarily somebody that's just looking out for their pockets. Because you got a lot of people out there that will try and steer you in a different direction. You can have opportunities to come along, and they can this pays this much, this pays. Well, what is going to be better for me in building and choreographing my career and making me better, and what is going to make me happy? So at this point, I just want an agent that is going to be upfront with me. If you send my tape and I have a general meeting with somebody and they think it sucks or they don't like me, tell me that, because I want to know the feedback. I don't need it sugar-coated because I got a thick skin, but I need to know that feedback because it might be something that I'm doing that I'm not aware of that I can learn how to do to make myself better for the next client that might be out there. So I need honesty. I need somebody that's going to treat me, once again, not as a paycheck, but as a friend, and somebody that's just going to work hard for me and make sure that I'm put in a position where if you put me in a room, you set up those pins, I'm going to knock them down and I'm going to get the job. So that's basically all I'm looking for. Unfortunately for me, with the United Talent Artists, UTA, I've been with them for the last 5-6 years now. They are doing that job for me, and I'm really happy with it.
Mike, this was great. Thank you so much for coming on today. Everybody go check Mike out on Twitter. His handle is @It'sMikeHill. Mike, thanks again, and good luck with the acting. I'm rooting for you.
I appreciate that, Tom. Thanks so much for having me on, brother.